Tonight, the road ahead.
Every Australian matters, every life, every job, every future.
The Prime Minister outlines the nation's three-stage plan to roll back restrictions and get back to normal by July.
Let's just stay the course on this.
But each state will be different, and Victorians may need to be patient because our Premier is in no hurry. Yet more cases linked to Cedar Meats pushing the total to more than 70, forcing the state government to defend its handling of the outbreak. A crucial clue found in a hunt for a young mother's killer, but there's still no sign of Ellie Price's boyfriend. And as the AFL looks to revive its season, the league launches an investigation into a breach of training rules by the Adelaide Crows.
This is 10 News First Melbourne with Stephen Quartermain.
Good evening. The Prime Minister has outlined a three-step model to get the country out of the COVID-19 nightmare. Each state will decide when to start lifting restrictions and the plan will be reviewed every 3 weeks. But life could be back to near normal by July. Scott Morrison admits there are risks but says it's time to be brave.
It's been a bumpy ride, but Australia now has a roadmap for reopening.
We cannot allow our fear of going backwards from stopping us from going forwards.
We're being warned there will be outbreaks and setbacks, but it's time to crawl out from under the covers.
You can stay under the doona forever, and you'll never face any danger. But we've got to get out from under the doona.
The important thing is not the size of the outbreak, the important thing is the response.
Step 1 allows for gatherings up to 10 people outside and up to 5 at home. We'll also be allowed to go to restaurants and cafes, shopping centres, playgrounds and travel locally again.
That will mean many cafes and restaurants won't be able to open, but many that are doing takeaway may well want to put up enough distant tables to start just gently serving 10 people at a time. We want to keep it gentle and careful. Step 1 is tentative baby steps.
Step 2 will allow for gatherings of up to 20 people outside and we'll be able to go back to gyms, beauty salons and cinemas. Some interstate travel will also be permitted and we'll see a return of community sport.
In this plan, we walk before we run. Not everything will go to plan. There will be inconsistencies. States will and must move at their own pace.
We should reach stage 3 by July, when gatherings of up to 100 will be allowed. Pubs and clubs can throw open their doors, all interstate travel will return, and most workplaces will fully reopen.
Opening up most of the economy, but again in a COVID-safe way, with strict distancing, strict hygiene.
We've got to get Australians to get their confidence back, and they have every reason to get their confidence back.
The National Cabinet settled on the measures, but the timing of the rollout will be different depending on where you live.
The pace, though, will totally be up to the states and territories.
By July, the government is hoping 850,000 jobs will have been restored. And as the Prime Minister revealed today, that means there's no guarantee the government's income support measures, like the JobKeeper and the Job Seeker schemes, will last the full 6 months, as initially touted.
I give them the certainty that I want them to be back in their jobs where they don't need it. That's what we want.
Just as long as they're feeling well.
No more heroics of coming to work with a cough and a cold and a sore throat. That's off the agenda for every Australian for the foreseeable future. Please.
So we won't need to do a U-turn. Tegan George for 10 News First.
Tegan George joins us from Canberra. Tegan, the PM has hinted there's no going back.
Stephen, Scott Morrison is certainly keen to keep Australia moving forward. Now, he certainly doesn't want us to have to return to these tough restrictions. Of course, if something disastrous did happen, though, National Cabinet would need to revise these stages. We are told, though, going forward, we do need to expect that there are going to be outbreaks. The difference now is that our hospitals have the capacity to deal with those outbreaks when they do occur. So we are still waiting for more details for stage stages 2 and 3. The PM says that they're going to be revisiting those stages every 3 weeks just to see how we're going and to see whether any activities needed to be added or dropped as we move forward. But certainly we're doing incredibly well, and we will expect to have more details on those stages next Friday when National Cabinet meets again.
Fingers crossed. Thanks, Tegan. Tegan George in Canberra. For Victorians, nothing will change this weekend, but from Monday there'll be announcements on when our restrictions will finally be eased. Emma O'Sullivan joins us. Emma, when can we expect life to start returning to normal?
Stephen, we will see changes in the month of May. The Premier has flagged that series of announcements starting on Monday on easing restrictions. He did point out that rules won't necessarily change the moment he makes an announcement. In some cases, there'll need to be notice. He said the government is always keen to give parents notice. Now, they have been told to homeschool their children where possible for all of term 2. Today, he said the door has always been open for kids to return to the classroom earlier if it became safe to do so. And he said one of the announcements next week will be about school. As for Victoria's testing blitz, well, so far over the past 2 weeks, 127,000 people have been tested for COVID-19. The target was 100,000. We have smashed that. The Premier said it's numbers like that will give his government more options. But as for this weekend, the message remains stay home and follow the current restrictions.
I know it's frustrating. No one for a moment has ever suggested, least of all me, that Victorians are enjoying these rules. They're there for a reason though. The strategy's working. Let's not undermine that strategy and our solid performance. In fact, our spectacular performance when you compare us to so many other parts of the world.
Daniel Andrews was asked whether he believes Victorians are still with him in his cautious approach. One only has to go down to some of our retail outlets to see the number of people out and about, perhaps an indication some are itching for change. In response, he said he's not interested in popularity during a pandemic and he believes Victorians are listening to his messages.
Emma O'Sullivan reporting. Demands are growing for an independent investigation into the Cedar Meats coronavirus cluster. Overnight, Victoria recorded 13 new cases, with the majority linked to the Brooklyn facility.
Almost a week since the Cedar Meats cluster emerged and the case numbers are still growing. 8 more in just 24 hours, pushing the total to 71. And there's growing concern too about when Cedar Meats was first told a casual worker contracted coronavirus.
Some of the workers were labour hire employees and some were direct employees, and that was one of the reasons that their notifications fell through the hole. That's not good enough.
The Health Department told hire firm Labour Solutions Australia its employee tested positive on April 24, 22 days after the April 2 diagnosis. They told Cedar Meats that night, but it wasn't until after April 29 when other employees and 10 WorkSafe and federal agriculture inspectors were directed to self-isolate.
This isn't about recrimination, this is about understanding.
A health spokesperson said it's not appropriate and a serious breach of privacy for the department to notify of someone with coronavirus if they haven't been at work while infectious. A schoolboy is one of the latest to test positive due to contact with a worker. The revelations have renewed calls from the state opposition for an independent inquiry into the Cedar Meats coronavirus cluster, similar to a New South Wales inquiry into the Ruby Princess disaster.
The government is actually putting personal privacy ahead of public health.
Daniel Andrews hit back.
They're not judgments that are made by me, they're made by the public health team.
And the Prime Minister is backing the Premier.
I commend Premier Andrews for the way that he has sought to address this issue.
Simon Love for 10 News First.
Australian travellers stranded overseas have another chance to get home. Qantas has announced a series of limited flights to Melbourne from Los Angeles and London. And this time they'll include pets. Expat cats and dogs will go straight into isolation at Mickleham. Evacuation flights have already arrived in Brisbane, which doesn't have animal quarantine facilities. There'll be 4 flights from Los Angeles and 8 from London beginning next Wednesday. And this is the current state of infection across Australia. The number of confirmed cases of the virus now stands at more than 6,900. New South Wales and Western Australia recorded 4 new cases in total. But here in Victoria, there were 13 new cases identified overnight, taking the people diagnosed with the illness to 1,467. Only 8 people are in hospital, but 6 of those are in intensive care. More than 1,300 people have recovered. Detectives are a step closer to tracking down the boyfriend of slain Melbourne woman Ellie Price after finding her car at a country property. Ricardo Barbaro, whose family has underworld links, is believed to be on the run. Estelle Lewis has been following today's developments.
The Mercedes-Benz was spotted on Plumpton Road in Diggers Rest, about 40 kilometres from the South Melbourne apartment where Ellie Price was found dead. Detectives have removed the car and spoken to the people at the property, but they're still trying to track down the victim's former partner, Ricardo Barbaro. The 33-year-old has family links to a number of high-profile crimes in Melbourne where his relatives were targeted, and homicide detectives want to speak to him about Miss Price's death.
There is a family violence history in that relationship.
Police say the pair was not checked on as part of efforts to reduce family violence during the COVID-19 lockdown. Mr Barbaro may be travelling in a white Toyota van with the registration 1OZ8PC. Victoria Police has also alerted officers in New South Wales and Queensland about the search.
He's someone who does have a history of contacts up the east coast of Australia, and so I'm sure with Queensland Police and New South Wales Police there's been contact there.
Detectives have warned anyone helping Mr Barbaro evade police could face criminal charges. Anyone who sees him is asked not to approach, but to call 000.
The AFL is expected to come down hard on the Adelaide Crows after players were caught flouting the league's rules during quarantine training in the Barossa Valley. But it seems the breach of social distancing rules won't get them in trouble with the law.
16 Crows assistant coach Ben Hart and a dietitian are quarantined in the Barossa Valley Resort with special permission from State Police.
They could relocate from their home addresses to the Novotel because it would enable them to undertake some form of physical activity.
That activity is the issue though. 8 Crows took part in a kicking drill together yesterday. Local police say they're satisfied the group was less than the state's 10-person limit, but the AFL is not pleased.
They're being dealt with in an educative way rather than a punitive way.
They're extremely disappointed. They've been at pains to have us understand our obligations, especially around the training protocols and not training any more than pairs.
The group had been given permission to spend 2 weeks in the hotel and use the grounds and adjacent golf course to train, with strict instructions to steer clear of the public. The club is taking responsibility for a communication breakdown that led to the 8-man drill, but admits the players and assistant coach should know the rules by now.
They weren't new or different to what the guys have been practicing for the last 6 weeks. But on this occasion, we've obviously breached them, and that's a disappointing part in this this episode.
At a time when the league is ramping up to return, including the possibility of 10-man groups being allowed at clubs nationwide from next week, the Crows know their blunder won't be treated lightly.
We understand the grief that's caused at a really important time for the industry, and which is why we accept the sanctions that have got to come our way.
Max Burford for 10 News First.
Now here's Katie, and you'll have more on that story in sport.
Yes, Quarters, we will, and it leaves the AFL in a tricky position as it tries to plot a path back to competition. Craig Bellamy's tough love pays off, and Tim Cahill's son following in his father's footsteps. Also, when the Saints fans answer the club's call to arms to fight for the future of St Kilda.
Thanks, Katie. Coming up in 10 News First. 4 men still fighting for life after a mine explosion. We'll cross live to Queensland for an update. And remembering victory as Britain marks VE Day in lockdown.
It's time for us to shake things right up. This week is Twists Week.
5 big twists over 5 big nights.
And this first one is a beauty.
We want a dish that can withstand the test of delivery. What does this mean? You're going to be sending them to my place.
This is a crazy twist.
Turn your burners off.
Oh my God.
Is it bad that I secretly enjoy this?
There's a twist with this dish.
No! Of course there's a twist. Remember,
There's a twist coming.
What?
Oh no.
All right, everybody, stop what you're doing.
No way.
This twist is a guest judge. For the first time in the MasterChef kitchen, she's been singing our theme tune for 12 years.
Shut up.
Me and my unborn child are ready to eat.
MasterChef on 10.
You have in your cold.
Twists Week starts 7:30 Sunday.
1, 2, 3, 4. So clap it back. Hey, clap, clap. So clap it back. Hey, I'm gonna give it right back. 'Cause you're not gonna stand around living like that. So clap it back. Clap it, clap, clap. Alright, so clap it back. Hey.
Centrum provides multiple health benefits in just one tablet. Centrum, complete from A to Zinc.
His instincts date back to his true origin, like protecting his food from predators. And just like his wolf ancestors, a nutrient-dense, protein-rich meal is what your dog instinctively needs. Feed their true origins.
What if I get coronavirus?
How do I do my rehab now?
Why is it so hard to get out of bed? COVID-19 is impacting us all differently, which is why we've introduced Medibank COVID-19 Health Assist. With direct access to hundreds of healthcare experts, eligible members can receive health advice and support from their homes at no extra cost. Visit medibank.com.au to see how we're providing better support for our members.
Thank you, Victoria.
For keeping your distance.
And keeping your cool.
For facing this with courage.
And talking face to face every day.
For telling your workmates you're on mute.
And your neighbours, you're there for them.
Thanks for staying in and helping out.
Because it's working.
But we can't stop now. There's still a way to go.
And staying apart
keeps us together.
To find out how you can help keep us together, visit vic.gov.au/coronavirus. Authorised by the Victorian Government, Melbourne.
Have you been missing Mel, Lloyd and Celia? Well, they're back with Ed and Sam on the new season of Have You Been Paying Attention? Monday.
This is 10 News First. Investigators have begun probing the site of a central Queensland mine explosion, which has left 5 workers hospitalised with severe burns. Georgina Hill joins us from Brisbane, where the men are being treated. Georgina, what's the latest on their condition?
Unfortunately, Stephen, 4 of those men are still clinging to life tonight here at the Royal Brisbane Women's Hospital. They are still receiving treatment inside the world-class burns facility here, but they are listed in a critical condition. A 5th man, a 44-year-old, there is some good news there. He is slowly starting to improve. The hospital late this afternoon saying he is now in a good condition. There has been an enormous outpouring of support from the extended mining community for these 5 men and their families. Work colleagues have set up a GoFundMe page, and tonight that page has hit more than $90,000, with friends saying these guys were the absolute salt of the earth and that they would never ask for anything that they didn't earn. Investigators spent today focused on the Longwall section of the Grosvenor mine, but it is still too dangerous for those investigators to go underground to where this blast happened. When they can get underground, it's understood they will be using 3D imaging to assess the site. The Queensland Premier and our mining minister are still pushing for a board of inquiry which will include public hearings to try to determine how this blast happened and, Stephen, hopefully stop something like this ever happening again.
Thanks to Georgina Hill in Brisbane. The nation's banks have been swamped by households and businesses needing help as finances buckle under the weight of COVID-19. Deferred loans have blown out to $200 billion, and many may still be in a bind 6 months from now.
In households across the country, there's a money problem.
The financial pain from this COVID event is still unfolding.
Australia's banks have now deferred at least 643,000 loans worth a whopping $200 billion. Almost 60% of those put on hold are mortgages.
Some of these loans will be in default for a very long time.
A surge too in the past week, an extra 100,000 granted a breather because of COVID-19.
We know that there will be people who will not be in a position at the end of 6 months to return to normal repayments. Nobody wants to see anybody fall off a cliff.
So the banks are already talking to regulators and the government about further support.
They've gone into this crisis stronger than they have ever been, and they are well placed to play the role of a shock absorber.
Charities are preparing too for an increase in households needing help with rent, food, health and energy bills.
All of those become real when people have lost their jobs, have been stood down, or have a fear that that may happen.
And so in 6 months' time, some will be facing some serious choices.
We know the economy will not come back at full pelt, and so there is a real social cost.
A social cost that the entire country will feel. Gillian Bowen for 10 News First.
The federal government will invest an extra $16 million in ovarian cancer research. The grant coincides with World Ovarian Cancer Awareness Day. And tonight, landmarks across the country will turn teal to highlight the disease known as a silent killer.
Shireen Steele thought she might be pregnant when she felt something inside her abdomen, but instead she was told she had ovarian cancer.
Yeah, I'd never heard about the disease before I was diagnosed. I was absolutely blindsided.
The mother of two is now 3 years cancer-free after gruelling treatment including chemotherapy. Ovarian cancer can be a stealthy killer with no early detection test. Today, the federal government announced $16 million for more research.
We have only a survival rate of just 46%. So this announcement gives women more than hope.
Just delighted to hear the news and, putting some hope into many women's and their families' lives.
Survivors and advocates are encouraging people to buy teal undies to mark World Ovarian Cancer Day. Last year, Shireen organised for a few Melbourne buildings to turn the distinctive blue. Now it's set to be even bigger.
More than 80 landmarks across the country, including Flinders Street Station, will be lit up teal tonight to raise awareness for ovarian cancer and show support for the 4 Australian women diagnosed with it every day. When you ask someone what are pink ribbons for, they'll immediately tell you. We want that same effect. We want people to see the sky teal and think, yep, that's ovarian cancer.
Annie Kearney for 10 News First.
Let's take a look at the traffic. Jess Miller has the perfect view up in the chopper.
Thank you, Quarters over Coburg right now in the ABC Reading Eggs traffic chopper. Huge congrats to the crews working on the level crossing removal through here. They have officially wrapped up. That means Munro Street has reopened and we're looking at a brand new level crossing near Coburg train station. Also, we can add that to the completed list of level crossings along with Toorak Road. Still on the to-do list though is Carrum. That's affecting the Nepean Highway. A couple of lanes closed off through there. Over to you, Quarters.
Thank you, Jess. Ahead in 10 News First. Keeping a close eye on the President after one of Donald Trump's White House staff tests positive. And Kate's family snapshots give a glimpse of royal life in lockdown.
And we're in for a wild and wintry weekend. All those details soon, and we get to meet Mac.
As a parent, you ask, what's the best way to support my child? From first words to gaining confidence for new adventures, you're right there by their side. Wherever they are on their learning journey, ABC Reading Eggs is there to help you. Start your ABC Reading Eggs journey today.
Do you want food that's flavourful, fresh and fantastic?
Oh my Lord, it's going to be so good.
Do you want stars that are famous, flamboyant and funny?
I'm me, if nothing else.
Well, join Mr. Foodie and Mr. Fabulous for a 5-star Friday tonight.
Building, renovating, extending, Carpet Core has you covered for all of your flooring and blinds needs. There's carpet, timber, laminate, hybrid, vinyl, rugs and even made-to-order shutters and blinds for every situation. And at Carpet Core, there's no middleman, just great flooring. So call Carpet Call for Australia's largest supplier of floor coverings at Australia's best prices. Call Carpet Call. We're the experts in the trade.
The experts in the trade.
If you've been injured, talk directly to a lawyer, not a call centre. If you don't win, there's no fee. Call Arnold Thomas and Becker, specialising in injury compensation for over 50 years.
You don't give in, you don't give up. It's called Aussie Spirit, and it takes spirit to get through times like these. It's what inspires us to help. Together we'll get through this. Search Toyota, here to help.
When I first met Nugget, he was stuck in a hole. But I've been pushing him hard. Now, Nugget is healthy and regular. Take Metamucil daily, a natural way to stay regular and support a healthy gut.
Feed the family with Hungry Jack's new family bundle. Treat yourself with 2 Whoppers, 2 cheeseburgers, 4 small chips, 4 Cokes, 10 nuggets and sauce, only $24.95. Get takeaway, drive-through or delivery at Hungry Jack's.
This Saturday with Sportsbet at 3 tracks for races 1 to 6. Finish second or third and get up to $50 back in bonus bets.
BSI! So be as responsible with Sportsbet. We'll be watching.
Starbucks coffee is coming home, now available in supermarkets.
Amy has always helped Australians get back on the road. But now, more than ever, it's vital those on the front line get to where they need to be. That's why we're now offering free roadside assist to all doctors, nurses, hospital staff and first responders Australia-wide until the end of the year. Amy and non-Amy customers. Here's to supporting the everyday heroes who are supporting the rest of us. To take advantage of this offer, go to amy.com.au.
Lucky you're with Amy.
The Australian Government is supporting individuals and households during the coronavirus crisis. We've introduced the $550 coronavirus supplement, doubling income support for many. It means those on the job seeker payment could receive up to $1,100 a fortnight. We're also providing 2 $750 payments to veterans, pensioners and other households receiving income support. These automatic payments will support up to 5 million Australian households. To find out more, visit australia.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Get ready for Twist.
Oh my God. No way.
After Twist. Twists Week starts Sunday.
Europe is waking up to 75 years to the day since World War II came to an end on the continent. The pandemic has forced the cancellation of the giant street parties that had been planned to mark the historic milestone, but a number of other events have been adapted to celebrate the wartime generation. Phoebe Bowden is live in a sunny Trafalgar Square in London. Phoebe, what's happening there?
Stephen, Trafalgar Square is nearly empty. It's a far cry from what it was like 75 years ago when World War II effectively came to an end when the Nazis surrendered. This square was absolutely packed with people. People were climbing on top of those lion statues behind me. But of course, with the UK in a very strict lockdown, none of those events that had been planned to mark the 75th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day will be going ahead. Instead, there will be a series of scaled back events, including a service taking place at Westminster. And the Queen is also set to address the nation, not just on the same day, but at the same hour that her father did 75 years ago.
Germany, the enemy who drove all Europe into war, has been finally overcome.
Prince Charles will lead the UK in 2 minutes silence a little bit later today. There's also going to be a sing-along to the song We Will Meet Again. It became a bit of an anthem in World War II, and during the COVID-19 crisis, it's become, again, a bit of a song that people are turning to. So we are expecting a few celebrations and commemorations, but certainly nothing of the scale that we would have seen otherwise, Stephen.
Thanks, Phoebe, and enjoy the balmy 24 degrees. The Bank of England says the pandemic is pushing Britain's economy to its worst recession in 300 years. The new report warns Britain's economy could shrink by 14% in the 3 months until June. That would be its worst contraction since the Great Frost of 1709.
You remember we talked about uncertainty around Brexit a lot. This is altogether more uncertain.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson has indicated Britain will stay in lockdown until next month. Meantime, across in France, the government will start easing restrictions from Monday. One of Donald Trump's personal valets has joined more than 1.2 million Americans to test positive for coronavirus. The Navy member who works at the White House serves the president his meals. Trump says he has tested negative for the virus but will continue to be checked.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange, but it's one of those things. I've had very little personal contact with this gentleman.
As US cases rise, so do its jobless figures. Another 3.2 million people filed for unemployment in the past week. Around 1 in 5 American jobs have now gone. Now here's Mike with a look ahead to the weather.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Good evening. Well, the good news today, not nearly as windy as yesterday. Mind you, those northerlies weren't calm either. Sunny skies this morning, partly sunny this afternoon, 13 degrees to kickstart your Friday, 20 degrees this afternoon. So, yeah, pretty comfortable all day. And a good night tonight for your takeaway. And be prepared, a wintry weekend is only hours away. A cold front moving up from the very, very icy southwest for a chilly old Saturday and Sunday. 12 to 15 degrees tomorrow with a heap of rain, majority of that in the eastern suburbs. And then on Sunday, 7 to 14 and a couple of showers for Mother's Day. More on that shortly, but right now, let's meet this little fella because it is Friday. It is 5:30, time to meet Mac. Mac is a 3-year-old Jack Russell Cross. He wants to go to your place and all those details with those big ears of yours on the website, dogshome.com. More weather in half an hour. Stephen?
Thank you, Mike. Still to come, the day in finance and testing our imaginations. How families plan to celebrate a very different Mother's Day.
Get ready for Twist.
This is a crazy twist.
After Twist.
Turn your burners on. Oh my God. There's a twist with this dish.
No!
Shut up.
Me and my unborn child are ready to eat.
MasterChef Twist Week starts Sunday.
At Bunnings, we've got some great DIY bundles to help you keep busy while you're safe at home. Simply check out the projects online, order over the phone using our DIY hotline, and we'll bundle up everything you need. We'll then deliver it to your door.
The Ladbrokes Bonus Back Blitz keeps rolling. This Friday night in all races at all 5 Australian harness racing night meetings, get bonus back if your runner finishes second or third. Ladbrokes, back yourself.
Every time you pre-rinse, you waste up to 40 litres of water. Try new Finish Quantum Ultimate Pro. It scrubs, degreases and provides the ultimate shine, so you don't need to pre-rinse. New Finish Quantum Ultimate Pro.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians.
It's a start. 22 million to go. Will you help people get a better deal on their car insurance?
Will you fight to save Australians on their home insurance?
Oh, Karen. She loves saving people money.
Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
Unlike most modems, Telstra's smart modem is cleverly backed up by Australia's best 4G network. So if the connection to your house stops, your home Wi-Fi won't, giving you Australia's most reliable home Wi-Fi. To experience better Wi-Fi, visit telstra.com today.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of dinner with some of the key ingredients for Texan-style beef and black bean chili. Like Coles' no-added hormones beef chuck casserole steak, down to just $14 a kilo. Save $2. Coles Real Beef Stock 1 litre, $1.90 every day. And Edgell Black Beans 400 grams, down to just $1.50. Find this recipe and more at coles.com.au. Helping you have a happy Mother's Day. Coles, good things, great value.
Let's do it, baby.
Make this Saturday one to remember. If your horse doesn't win but runs second, third or even fourth in races 1 to 6 at Randwick, get your money back in bonus up to $50. PointsBet.
I suddenly realized we're all in this together.
That feels especially true given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
Hello there. The nation's banks say they're working around the clock to help customers feeling the financial impact of COVID-19. They've revealed today they've now deferred at least 643,000 loans worth a whopping $200 billion. Now, almost 60% of those put on hold during the pandemic are mortgages. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank says the economic damage from the pandemic in the 3 months to June is tipped to break records. Its latest forecast for the economy will be that it will shrink by 10%. The largest in the history of the quarterly national accounts. It's got unemployment at about 10%, but for those workers on JobKeeper, the RBA believes around a quarter of them could actually be better off during this time. Either way, the recovery is likely to be slow. To the share market, it's finished the week in positive territory. Retailers lifting after the PM raised the prospect of the economy reopening by July, but it was Myer shares leading the way, up by more than 45%. And in other big news, a declaration from the Woolies boss that the toilet paper frenzy of 2020 is officially over. To the dollar, it continued to gain strength against the US, now buying 65.2 US cents. And that's finance.
Gillian Bowen reporting. In a COVID lockdown, families are preparing for a Mother's Day like no other. Police have issued a warning that anyone who breaks the rules will be fined. But there's still plenty of ways to spoil our mums and show our love.
Mother's Day minus mum, and some are seeing the funny side.
Oh, you're very stiff, Mum.
But in a lockdown, staying away from mum is no joke.
And so for Mother's Day, when you want to talk to mum, we'd encourage you to do that again, to talk to mum on the video.
Florists have been run off their leaves.
It has honestly been crazy. A lot busier than what we usually are. Orders are coming in.
Orders delivered with love and social distancing.
Pop down and see them, but just try to keep our distance. Between the fence.
And we're heading out to Springvale Cemetery for my mother, who we lost at the end of January. So first Mother's Day without her.
A sombre reminder to treasure every moment.
My guess is the best Mother's Day present will be when you're able to give your mum a hug.
Absolutely, Tash. That'll be absolutely magnificent. I can't wait.
Me too. See you soon, Mum.
And you've got the hook.
Margaret is 97. This will be her 69th Mother's Day.
Mum's first child was Veronica, and she passed away 3 years ago.
Her other daughters, Vicky and Kathy, are her carers and her best friends.
The best present possible for you. What would be the best present for you?
Love. Just love them.
Natasha Rexelby for 10 News First.
The Duchess of Cambridge has launched a special project to capture a snapshot of the UK amidst the COVID-19 crisis. In a rare appearance on breakfast television, the Duchess appealed to Britons to submit pictures of their current lives for the London National Portrait Gallery's latest work, Hold Still. Catherine also revealed recent pictures of Prince Louis, showing that real life is often much messier than Instagram images.
I think it charmed absolutely everybody. This was such a great shot.
I should have taken a photograph of what I look like after that as well.
Those birthday portraits of her 2-year-old son showed him hard at work making a rainbow handprint art project. Now let's see what's coming up on the project.
Tonight, does the PM's 3-step roadmap to lift restrictions get the risk versus reward balance right?
Find out why one man packed up his life and bought 5 camels to travel across the outback.
And Aussies in lockdown are going bonkers for baking bread. We've got your guide to getting it right.
All that and a whole lot more coming up at 6:30. See you then.
And time for another look at the roads. Back up to Jess Miller and the chopper.
Thank you, Quarters. Taking a look out west in the ABC Reading Eggs traffic chopper. This is where Derrimut Road meets Doherty's Road. As you can see, a lot going on with works and lane restrictions as a result over the past few weeks. It has been extremely heavy through here, as you can see now. Derrimut Road northbound, very heavy going from Leakes Road, and southbound also slowing down from back at Boundary Road. As for Boundary Road itself, that's pretty heavy moving up to the Deer Park bypass. Back soon with more traffic. Quarters.
Thanks, Jess. Now Katie's here with Friday Sport, and Adelaide awaiting a call from the AFL.
Yes, Quarters. No word yet, but right now the Crows are in damage control. Why the Saints coach thinks Chris Hemsworth should play him in a movie, and there's only one Timmy Cahill, but Sun Shay comes close. Also, flu shot furor. No jab, no play, as 3 NRL players are stood down.
As a parent, you ask, what's the best way to support my child? From first words to gaining confidence for new adventures, you're right there by their side. Wherever they are in their learning journey, ABC Reading Eggs is there to help you. Start your ABC Reading Eggs journey today.
The PM's plan to get us out of lockdown and back to normal life. That's next.
Agent LaCroix, I'm on my way.
Aussie Julian McMahon is brilliant in the brand new series.
Our job is not to bring justice to the most wanted. Our job is to bring the most wanted
to justice.
New FBI Most Wanted. Sunday following MasterChef.
Introducing BP Rewards. Now you can earn points with every BP purchase.
BP Rewards.
Use BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards. BP Rewards.
Or you can choose to earn Qantas points.
Now that's what I call BP Rewards.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. BP Rewards. Your rewards, your way.
At Allianz, we're offering a range of practical support measures for our current eligible small business customers experiencing financial hardship due to the COVID-19 pandemic, like premium payment deferrals for up to 6 months on eligible policies. And if your business premises are unoccupied because of COVID-19, we'll maintain your cover. We're committed to supporting your business now and into the future, because our support doesn't stop here. Search Allianz or contact your broker to see if you qualify.
Every 14 minutes, someone finds love on eHarmony. Now with more matches, a new compatibility quiz with deeper insights and enhanced messaging. The new eHarmony experience is better than ever. Start something real with someone right.
Every time you pre-rinse, you waste up to 40 litres of water. Try new Finish Quantum Ultimate Pro. It scrubs, degreases and provides the ultimate shine, so you don't need to pre-rinse. New Finish Quantum Ultimate Pro.
Smartly monitor and track physical distancing at work with the new i2 Safe app. With smart monitoring Bluetooth, the app tracks worker distance to ensure a safe work environment. App access available soon. Register your interest today at cloudA2k.com/i2safe.
Racing Ruckus continues at Ned's. Bonus back on 4 big tracks. Back any horse in races 1 to 4 at 4 tracks this Saturday, and if it runs second or third, get up to $50 back in bonus bets. Take it to the Ned's level.
If you're a small business, you've probably got a lot more questions than answers right now, which is why there's never been a more important time to speak to a professional accountant. They're specifically trained to help with business planning and cash flow management strategies tailored to support your business through these challenging times. They can even lend a hand with applications for government support to make sure you get the help your business needs. For further support and assistance, contact a professional accountant today.
What does it take to be a real Aussie energy provider? For starters, it helps to be Australian-owned. At Red Energy, we're 100% owned by the mighty Snowy Hydro. It also means keeping jobs right here in Australia and being powered by a leader in clean, renewable energy. Now that's real Aussie energy. Red Energy, 100% Australian electricity and gas.
Get ready for Twist.
Oh my God. No way.
After Twist. Twist's week starts Sunday.
Good evening. The AFL will have to wait until Monday to find out if it has government approval to recommence its season. Rob Waters joins us. Rob, the Premier kept everyone waiting today.
Yes, indeed, Katie. Daniel Andrews very much holds the key to the return of the AFL, but is keeping his powder dry until Monday. The National Cabinet today outlined 3 stages for the easing of restrictions. Stage 1 allows groups of 10 for sporting groups, Stage 2 allows groups of 20 and Stage 3 allows gatherings of 100. The Prime Minister revealed they're aiming to get to Stage 3 by July. Premier Dan Andrews says he'll keep the current restrictions in place until Monday and then he'll reveal their plans for May. Now, the AFL hopes that the Premier decides to go to Stage 1, which will allow the clubs to get back to training at their club headquarters. But the AFL's website did report today that there are fears within the AFL that the easing of restrictions in Victoria could further be delayed because of the recent outbreaks. Daniel Andrews didn't divulge much today, but he did say this.
There is complete cooperation and a really strong partnership between AFL, the Chief Health Officer and the Public Health Team and the Victorian Government, and the same for Rugby League. We want to see these sports back because they mean so much. They mean so much to so many Victorians and just our way of life, the rhythm of the week. We want footy back, but it's got to be safe, and I'm confident that it can be, but those announcements are not for me to make.
Now, the AFL did reveal its policy on the flu shots, and unlike the NRL, it won't make them compulsory for its players. Instead, it says that it will leave it up to the players themselves and the club medicos, which may put it on collision course with the Queensland government. There are landmines everywhere with corona, but at least for the moment, it's all about Monday, Katie.
Yes, it sure is. Thank you to Rob Waters. The Adelaide Crows are at the mercy of the AFL tonight as they await punishment for breaking league training rules. 8 players were spotted together while in quarantine in the Barossa Valley. The club has rejected that it points to a wider discipline issue.
The Crows say a communication breakdown is to blame for yesterday's breach of AFL training rules.
I'm in charge of our football department, and on this occasion I've missed the ball when it came to our communication around what was involved in the kicking component of the training. 16
players and assistant coach Ben Hart have been given permission from SA Police to stay at the vacant Barossa Valley Resort and train on dedicated holes of the adjacent golf course closed off from the public. The club says there was a communication error in the program resulting in 8 players doing a drill meant for just 2. They had the message cleared up this morning.
It's an honest mistake that we've made, and the issue relates solely to us, so it shouldn't be seen as a representation of broader industry.
This was a mistake that was made and should certainly not be seen as a representation of the broader industry.
It was an honest mistake and it wasn't intentional. The rules were understood, but the issue relates solely to us. It should not be seen as a representation of the broader industry.
The timing is unfortunate as the league and state governments try to ramp up a return to footy. Understandably, the AFL is furious.
We've, I think, abided by those principles for 6 weeks, and now in this particular session, for whatever reason, some people have stepped outside of that, and that's what's disappointing. We understand the grief that's caused at a really important time for the industry, and which is why we accept the sanctions that have got to come our way.
For now, the players will remain in the Barossa quarantine hub. Max Burford for 10 News First.
St Kilda has recalled its players back to Victoria, ready to restart its tilt at a second premiership. And while some believe this season is tainted, coach Brett Ratton believes a 2020 Saints flag would be worthy of a Hollywood movie.
Saints fans are a resilient bunch. Take Rob. He's got 75 jumpers, heaps of footy records and a flag dream.
If they win the flag this year, I will walk down Burke Street in my underpants.
But Rob has never been a member. He signed up today. He was one of many fans who answered the club's call to arms by wearing their Saints gear and buying memberships.
The Saints fans have been tested and they keep backing up and their voice is being heard. There's banners and things that have been hanging out on front lawns and things like that. It's just great to see.
All that passion, but just the one flag by one point in 1966. Ratton is eyeing a second, and he thinks the scene is set for a Hollywood blockbuster should his Saints get up.
I've made a little bit of a slideshow about it. Geez, they can't keep their mouth shut, can they, the players? So I don't know how that got out.
Ratton already knows who he wants to play him.
I think I had Chris Hemsworth as myself. Why is everyone laughing? I think Lethers might have put himself up for Brad Pitt, but yeah, anyway. Whoever does have the opportunity to hold that cup up, I think they will reflect on the year, and not just at the end of the year, but maybe in 10 years' time, and those reunions about what they did overcome.
The road to the restart starts now. Luke Dunstan and Rowan Marshall trained together this morning after returning from the country. And bizarrely, Dunstan took inspiration from Ratton's man Hemsworth during ISO.
I was sort of struggling for a bit of motivation myself to sort of train at the start there, so had to get a bit creative. I actually downloaded the Chris Hemsworth app.
Jackie Reid for 10 News First.
Storm coach Craig Bellamy says things are back to normal between him and Josh Addo-Carr. The Origin winger was heavily fined last week after he posted videos of himself breaking quarantine restrictions. The indiscretion prompted the master coach to implement a social media ban on his playing group, which he says all have adhered to.
Certainly wasn't a full-time ban, or you can't use it outside when you go home, or whatever. So at the end of the day, there's just some situations that I'd prefer that they didn't use social media. It's just back to normal now. For Josh around his teammates, obviously he's glad to be back, and that his teammates are glad to see him back as well, and he's been training really well.
The Storm will continue training in Albury early next week, which is when Captain Cam Smith is expected to join the group. The NRL's restart plan has hit another speed bump. The Queensland government has stepped in to enforce the no jab, no play rule. 3 Gold Coast Titans players have been stood down as a result and may need government exemption to play.
This morning, the Titans were in the clear. Bryce Cartwright signing the NRL's flu shot waiver.
To make sure we are compliant as a club, and he informed me that, he signed the waiver and everything's okay.
But it wasn't good enough for the state government, who had cleared Queensland's clubs to train on the condition everyone was vaccinated.
They've stood down those 3 players at the moment until we work through what it means.
Brisbane and North Queensland's players have all had the jab.
We were told that to get this back, you had to get the flu shot, and so that's the information we're working on, and we've all done that. So we've done our part.
But Gold Coast's Cartwright, Brian Kelly and Nathan Peets have declined. Peets revealing he's not anti-vax, but that he's had a bad experience with the flu shot in 2012, confirming he would get the injection this afternoon to be free to play. It's understood the Titans may have to sign a counter waiver to get unvaccinated players back on the field.
We've got to be adaptable, and whatever procedure changes is for a reason.
As clubs continue to stick to the protocols, the ban on contact training remains a sore point. Teams feeling the time crunch with kick-off in 20 days.
Hopefully that will be Monday, and I think that's cutting it pretty fine.
Veronica Eggleton for 10 News First.
Now here's one football influencer whose life has come full circle. Daniel Capellaro's silky skills have taken him around the world, but now he's inspiring the next generation through social media. He normally lives here in Melbourne, but because of COVID, is in lockdown with his mum and dad in Perth. And what a treat for Mother's Day.
That's good social distancing, isn't it? My overall idea, and I suppose purpose now, is to inspire young players to be better with the ball.
With more than 300,000 followers on Instagram, he's obviously doing something right. And if you can keep up with the fancy footwork, it's not a bad workout. Australia's soccer pathways have been copying a whack in recent months, but here's some good news for our next generation. In a game of keep up with his old man, 15-year-old Shay Cahill showed he can more than keep up with Dad Tim. The Socceroos will be hoping this is just a sign of things to come. It's been 18 months since Phil Mickelson beat Tiger Woods in a match play event for a cool $9 million US. Well, they're at it again, and this time they'll join forces with 2 legendary quarterbacks, and the trash talk has already begun.
I don't know, actually, Tiger, if you know what this looks like. You might have caught a glimpse, but that's actually what the trophy looks like had you have won.
Hold on one second. I just got an ice bath.
I'm a little bit chilly. Green jacket on here.
If their golf game is anything like their banter, it won't be the last time they tee off with our play of the day. That is a fair comeback there, Quarters. You can't get much better than the green jacket.
Nah, that's about as good as it gets. I'd watch that. Looks fun. Thanks, Katie. Coming up, Mike is back with the weather, and it's looking like a pretty ordinary weekend.
Tommy's Legends of Lockdown battle it out. That's next.
Look what's on the must-see Monday menu.
It's time to shake things right up.
At 7:30, MasterChef's must-see biggest ever twist will blow your mind.
And this one is a beauty.
Then you better pay attention to these must-see lockdown lols.
How are you enjoying waking up early and getting to do your shopping before everyone else?
It's going to be a long season, folks.
Did we say you must see it? Monday on 10.
Look after your health online at health365.com.au with over 700 of your favourite Australian-owned health, vitamin and skincare products online, home delivered fast. Buy smart, buy Australian. Online at health365.com.au.
Ned's Racing Ruckers hits harness with a bonus back on all races at 5 meets. Back a runner in any race at the 5 night meets this Friday, and if it runs second or third, get up to $50 back in bonus bets. Take it to the Ned's level.
A lot has changed over the last few months, but globally, Allianz Group's commitment to serving its 100 million customers around the world hasn't. As part of this network, Allianz Australia has been supporting our customers through uncertainty and change for over 100 years. So you can rely on us to be here for you now and in the future to ensure what matters most. Because our support doesn't stop here.
Almost perfect. The only thing missing is you. That's why I trust eHarmony.
No one can connect you with high-quality singles like eHarmony. That's why every 14 minutes, someone finds love on eHarmony. Start free today.
You wash loads, but do you ever wash your washing machine? Every load leaves behind grime and, what's that smell? Pino Clean Washing Machine Cleaner removes 99.9% of germs, leaving it clean and fresh for longer. It's not clean unless it's Pino Clean.
Being family-owned, all Mackenzie aged care facilities start with us.
At Mackenzie, it's all about choice. You can try our Respite Aged Care for less than $53 per day.
At Mackenzie Aged Care, it all starts with people.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Go! Lendy is helping thousands of households save on average about $2,832 in interest over the next year on their home loans. That's millions in savings for Aussies when they need it most. How can Lendy help you save?
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for Dallasan to run first or second in the South Australian Derby. PointsBet.
Welcome back. A luxurious bath is a great way to relax and unwind. A lesson learned very quickly by this bear cub in the US. He's become an internet star after he was filmed splashing around in a tub by the keepers at Oregon Zoo. Dakota, the black bear, was rescued from the wild, and it seems he's settling in pretty well to his new home. Now it's over to Mike for the weather, and doesn't look like much chop for the weekend, Mike.
No, thank you, Stephen. Good evening once again. Tomorrow looking very average, a bit how's your father, and then Mother's Day will be a little improvement. Now, in the lead up to Mother's Day, today is World Ovarian Cancer Day, and to mark the occasion, buildings all around the globe are tonight turning teal, including a number of buildings around Melbourne, like Flinders Street Station. Don't adjust your set. It appears that somebody missed their Zoom meeting. OK, some great photos now that have been sent to Mike's Picks at network10.com.au. And this first up is Lenny, the 18-month-old Groodle, reading 7-year-old Millie her favourite book. Lenny, the teacher's aide, obviously enjoying a bit of a lie down too. And here's Huey helping out at home with some online schooling for Caleb, Ryder and Keely at Burnside Heights. And if you can remember, please, when you send the photos, send them sideways. So just make them landscape. They look a lot better on your telly. OK, it wasn't a bad old day today. 13 degrees the overnight low, 20 degrees mid-afternoon, a sunny start to a partly sunny afternoon. And your Friday night's looking A-OK, 17 degrees right now, the humidity at 55% and the wind at northwesterly blowing at 12 kilometres per hour. Around Melbourne today, temperatures were slightly up on the norm, for the main part 19 or 20 degrees early mid-afternoon. Across our state, it was quite pleasant today with temperatures generally 5 to 7 degrees above average, mainly between 16 and 21, 24 today's top over on Gabo Island. Oh, and Mildura is now the home to a brand new state-of-the-art radar to assist in forecasting and warnings. Fantastic. Around the country with a stage 3 plan of recovery. Victoria, though, will have to wait. 19 in both Perth and Adelaide, Hobart 18, Sydney, wow, look at that, 29 degrees. And in Canberra, where a man working from home reckons his wife gets really annoyed if he messes with her red wine. So he's added fruit, he's added lemonade to it, and now she's sangrier than ever. 20 degrees. The weather charts after warm weather, cold days are ahead as a cold front hits us with a vengeance, striking Victoria's southwest from around 10 tonight. Victoria's central parts around sunrise. The rainfall chart 20 to 30 mils for the Otways and West Gippsland, 10 in the east. Another dusty of snow down to 900 metres later tomorrow. In Adelaide for the weekend, 16 and 17 degrees, 5 to 10 mils of rain tomorrow. Hobart just 13 the next couple of days, soggy tomorrow. Sydney a dry weekend, 27 then 19. Across our state, well, hang on to your hats. Another wild wintry weekend is on the way. A change entering southwest Victoria later tonight, crossing the state tomorrow. Widespread rain in the south and the northeast. Thunderstorms, hail, late snow. Wow, icy, gusty west-southwesterly winds. The change arriving later in the east, 21 there, the top in Orbost. A gale warning tomorrow for the East Gippsland coast. A strong wind warning for the rest of the coast, the bays and Gippsland lakes. Also sheep graziers warning is widespread. Around Melbourne, quite simply cold, wet and windy, around 15 in most areas. And on the bays, northerly winds turning westerly at 30 knots, waves 1.5 metres. So for Melbourne, a step behind other cities, restrictions being lifted. Dry tonight, northerlies of 20 k's. A major change tomorrow, a cold front dragging up Antarctic air, 12 to just 15 degrees, 10 to 20 mils of rain. On to Sunday, and remember, you're not supposed to visit your mum. You could be fined, and you should do the right thing. 7 to 14 degrees, showers mostly in southeastern suburbs in the morning. On to Monday, 16 and partly cloudy. Tuesday, the rain returns, a top of 17 degrees. Wednesday, around 14. Thursday, looking at 15 degrees, and Friday also about 15 degrees. So that is your weather at the moment. This weekend's looking pretty ordinary. Tomorrow 12 to 15 degrees with 10 to 20 millimetres of rain.
The developing stories we're following tonight. The PM unveils a 3-point plan to lift Australia out of the coronavirus nightmare. Calls for an independent inquiry into the Cedar Meats corona cluster. There are now 71 cases. And a crucial clue uncovered in a young mum's murder, but Ellie Price's boyfriend is still missing. Life could be back to almost normal by July, with the Prime Minister today outlining a 3-step model to get the country out of the COVID-19 nightmare. Scott Morrison admits there are risks, but says it's time to be brave.
COVID-19 has changed the way we live forever.
So many Australians are hurting right now. Lives turned upside down. Painful separation from their loved ones.
But the PM assures us there's now a way out.
You can stay under the doona forever, and you'll never face any danger. But we've got to get out from under the doona.
A 3-step plan to ease restrictions.
In this plan, we walk before we run. We cannot be too timid. There will be risks. There will be challenges.
Step 1: allowing public gatherings of up to 10 people, opening up restaurants and cafes, shopping centres and playgrounds, and local travel.
We want to keep it gentle and careful. Step 1 is tentative baby steps.
Step 2, gatherings of up to 20 people. Gyms, beauty salons and cinemas will be reopened, and some interstate travel could be on the cards. But it doesn't come without risks.
We cannot allow our fear of going backwards from stopping us from going forwards.
And by July, we could see gatherings of up to 100 people. Step 3 includes the reopening of pubs and clubs. and all interstate travel. But as for when the changes take place...
The pace, though, will totally be up to the states and territories. They will be responsible for setting their own timetable and communicating that.
By this afternoon, state and territory leaders had already started doing that, and they know it needs to be done carefully.
And we don't want to lose the control we've got.
So, when it comes to international travel...
We're not going to relax any of our border measures soon, and we're going to continue to quarantine all returning travellers.
Progress from this three-step plan will be reviewed every 3 weeks. The Prime Minister, he's being realistic.
There will be challenges, there will be outbreaks, there will be more cases, there will be setbacks. Not everything will go to plan.
But the most positive sign yet is that there is one.
Thank you very much.
Peter Van Onselen for 10 News First.
In Victoria, restrictions won't change until next week, when the government will make a series of announcements on when they'll be eased. Let's head to Emma O'Sullivan. Emma, the Premier isn't letting on just when and how things will start returning to normal.
Stephen, he is telling us to stay tuned for Monday, when those announcements will start about how life will eventually return to normal, or at least COVID normal. There will be changes throughout the month of May. Daniel Andrews said every state is facing a unique set of circumstances. To illustrate that, he said that Victoria has had about 10% community transmission of COVID-19. That's been a feature of the disease in this state for the past 10 or 12 weeks. He said that was in contrast to the Northern Territory, where there's been no community transmission. So he said it simply would not be sensible to have a one-size-fits-all national plan to ease restrictions. He did say that one of the announcements in Victoria next week will be relevant to schools. The Premier added he understands that a lot of people are getting frustrated, but he believes that on the whole, most will continue to follow the restrictions this weekend because they can see the progress we have made in suppressing the virus.
Is Victoria cautious? No, we're just guided by the science and we know what is at stake. And if that's popular, fair enough. If it's not, that's not really my concern. That has not driven me at any time during this. We're about doing the right thing and getting to the other side of this as quickly as we can, as safely as we can.
As for Victoria's testing blitz, the government is calling it a success. The target was 100,000 people. Well, in the past 2 weeks, 127,000 have been tested for COVID-19. That's enough people to fill both the MCG and Marvel Stadium. The Premier said it's numbers like that that will give his government more options.
Thanks, Emma. Questions still surround the handling of Victoria's largest coronavirus cluster at Cedar Meats. Overnight, 13 new cases were recorded in Victoria, with the majority linked to the Brooklyn facility.
Almost a week since the Cedar Meats cluster emerged, and the case numbers are still growing. 8 more in just 24 hours, pushing the total to 71. And there's growing concern too about when Cedar Meats was first told a casual worker contracted coronavirus.
Some of the workers were labour hire employees and some were direct employees, and that was one of the reasons that their notifications fell through the hole. That's not good enough.
The Health Department told hire firm Labour Solutions Australia its employee tested positive on April 24, 22 days after the April 2 diagnosis. They told Cedar Meats that night, but it wasn't until after April 29 when other employees and 10 WorkSafe and federal agriculture inspectors were directed to self-isolate. A health spokesperson said it's not appropriate and a serious breach of privacy for the department to notify of someone with coronavirus if they haven't been at work while infectious.
They're not judgments that are made by me, they're made by the public health team.
A schoolboy is one of the latest to test positive due to contact with a worker. The revelations have renewed calls from the state opposition for an independent inquiry into the Cedar Meats coronavirus cluster, similar to a New South Wales inquiry into the Ruby Princess disaster.
The government is actually putting personal privacy ahead of public health.
Simon Love for 10 News First.
A federal court judge has revealed how one of our most decorated soldiers, Ben Robert Smith, and his family are apparently being tormented and suffering as he sues Channel 9 newspapers for defamation, claiming they made him out to be a war criminal. Today, the VC winners' trial was delayed until after the COVID-19 crisis has passed because some of the evidence will be so sensitive it can't be streamed via video conferencing. Today's judgment also included claims that Robert Smith has developed acute insomnia and anxiety, and other children have taunted his daughter by saying he's a murderer. A new date for the defamation hearing has not been set. Detectives are a step closer to tracking down the boyfriend of slain Melbourne woman Ellie Price after finding her car at a country property. Ricardo Barbaro, whose family has underworld links, is believed to be on the run. Estelle Lewis has been following today's developments.
The Mercedes-Benz was spotted on Plumpton Road in Diggers Rest, about 40 kilometres from the South Melbourne apartment where Ellie Price was found dead. Detectives have removed the car and spoken to the people at the property, but they're still trying to track down the victim's former partner, Ricardo Barbaro. The 33-year-old has family links to a number of high-profile crimes in Melbourne where his relatives were targeted, and homicide detectives want to speak to him about Miss Price's death.
There is a family violence history in that relationship.
Police say the pair was not checked on as part of efforts to reduce family violence during the COVID-19 lockdown. Mr Barbaro may be travelling in a white Toyota van with the registration 1OZ8PC. Victoria Police has also alerted officers in New South Wales and Queensland about the search.
He's someone who does have a history of contacts up the east coast of Australia, and so I'm sure with Queensland Police and New South Wales Police there's been contact there.
Detectives have warned anyone helping Mr Barbaro evade police could face criminal charges. Anyone who sees him is asked not to approach, but to call 000.
Let's take another look at the traffic. It's back up to Jess in the chopper.
Thanks, Quarters. Over the Tullamarine Freeway in the ABC Reading Eggs traffic chopper, past Moreland Road and near the Sound Tunnel, you've got a beautiful run towards the West Gate and the rest of the way into the city. And outbound also looking good right through to Sunbury Road, but it does sound like we've got a few problems out in Langwarrin. The Western Port Highway is closed off to northbound traffic. That's between North Road and Homewood Road. That's following a 3-car collision from earlier, so just drive with care through there. Have a great weekend. Over to you, Quarters.
Thanks, Jess. Katie's back now and the Crows in damage control.
Yes, Quarters, and they are bracing for a hefty sanction from the AFL. The Saints ready to fire as soon as they get the go-ahead. And if you're over the daily grind, it's all downhill from here as we unwind with Friday Funnies.
As a parent, you ask, what's the best way to support my child? From first words to gaining confidence for new adventures, you're right there by their side. Wherever they are in their learning journey, ABC Reading Eggs is there to help you. Start your ABC Reading Eggs journey today.
Meet the Aussie exploring the country on camelback. Plus, imagine self-isolating with internationally renowned salsa dancers. Next.
A glance at your phone is the same as this. When you're on your phone, you're driving blind.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for Dallasan to run first or second in the South Australian Derby. PointsBet.
I was on the servo and I saw on the CCTV screen this balding bloke with the same jacket as me. But when I turned around, there was nobody there. And that was it.
Reached your turning point? The doctors at Ashley and Martin could help regrow your hair.
It's LTV for me.
It's LTV for me.
More and more people are saying it's LTV for me because the LTV T60 4x4 diesel is from just $27,490 drive away. And eligible businesses may be able to claim the government instant asset write-off. Hurry, offer ends May 31.
Huddling at home? Try Domino's new Chicken Parmesan Deep Pan. With 22 succulent chicken pieces and crispy rasher bacon from just $15 delivered. Order now with total peace of mind thanks to zero contact delivery from Domino's.
JB stores are open for business with the hottest deals. Sony Truly Wireless Noise Cancelling headphones for $2.99. Or these Sony Premium headphones for $3.95. And $450 off this Garmin Fenix 5S Sports Watch. Buy in store, online, click and collect or get it delivered. JB, you've done it again.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Go! Unpolished beauty. It defines our country, and at Stratco, it's what we do. Custom crafting, roofing and cladding solutions for remarkable Australian homes. Colorbond Steel's stunning matte finish, brought to life by Stratco How To.
This Mother's Day, make your gift to Mum a thoughtful one with a big brand fragrance from Chemist Warehouse. There's Jimmy Choo 40ml for $39.99 or Izzy Miyake 100ml for $79.99 and Yves Saint Laurent Black Opium 50ml $119.99. Shop online at chemistwarehouse.com.au. Select click and collect or call your local store to arrange contact-free delivery. Chemist Warehouse. Great savings every day.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get $4 odds for Dallasan to run first or second in the South Australian Derby. PointsBet.
Do you want food that's flavourful, fresh and fantastic?
Oh my Lord, it's going to be so good.
Do you want stars that are famous, flamboyant and funny?
I'm me, if nothing else.
Well, join Mr. Foodie and Mr. Fabulous for a 5-star Friday tonight.
Welcome back. The state government won't reveal its plans for easing restrictions until Monday, leaving the AFL in limbo until then. Rob Waters has all the details. Rob, is the AFL nervous about what could happen?
Disappointing. We understand the grief that's caused at a really important time for the industry, and which is why we accept the sanctions.
Cards are with Daniel Andrews at the moment. He won't make his decision until Monday. In fact, the AFL's website reveals so. It says that there are some within the AFL who are worried that the restrictions will face further delays on the easing of restrictions because of the recent outbreaks. But really, we'll find out on Monday when Daniel Andrews will reveal his plans for the rest of May in terms of easing of restrictions. The league hopes it goes to stage 1. We're given what the National Cabinet produced today. That will allow groups of 10 to gather, and in that scenario, the clubs could get back to training. Stage 2 will allow groups of 20, Stage 3 gatherings of 100. The Prime Minister revealed that they're aiming to get Stage 3 in place by July. But the Victorian Premier says our current restrictions will remain in place until Monday. He didn't divulge much of what they're planning to do, but he did say this.
There is complete cooperation and a really strong partnership between AFL, the Chief Health Officer and the Public Health Team and the Victorian Government, and the same for Rugby League. We want to see these sports back because they mean so much. They mean so much to so many Victorians and just our way of life, the rhythm of the week. We want footy back, but it's got to be safe. And I'm confident that it can be, but those announcements are not for me to make.
So that all sounds encouraging, but the AFL will face a nervous wait until Monday. The league has made its policy on the flu shots. Unlike the NRL, it says it won't make flu shots compulsory. It will allow the players to make up their own mind in conjunction with their club doctors.
All right, thanks, Rob, for the update. St Kilda players are back in Melbourne at the ready for a green light to return to training. Luke Dunstan and Rowan Marshall had a kick together today after returning from the country, and they're pretty keen to get some face-to-face meetings underway after 7 weeks on Zoom with Brett Ratton.
He's cropping himself into beaches in Hawaii and all sorts of things, so it's been quite funny.
Yep, I've got the team meeting. I've got a photo of the team meeting, and so I put that up so we can feel like we've got some sort of formal team meeting.
Saints fans answered a call to arms today, buying memberships and wearing their St Kilda kit to support the club during COVID-19. More vaccination dramas in the NRL, with 3 Gold Coast players stood down after refusing to receive their flu shot. With the latest from NRL HQ, here's Ros Kelly.
The NRL's proposed May 28 restart is looming, and while the Project Apollo Brains Trust were locked in meetings here at Rugby League Central all day, the Queensland Government came down hard on the code for not keeping its promise of ensuring all players will be vaccinated. The Chief Health Officer forcing the Titans to bench 3 players who refused the flu jab.
Now, ultimately, the states and territories have to determine what their health requirements are as they apply to the NRL, and if they were to be insisting on that, then I would think that was entirely reasonable.
Look, I agree with the Prime Minister. The health advice is that they should have a flu injection.
They're not considered part of an anti-doping regime. They're perfectly allowed. They're perfectly permitted. And in this particular situation, in protecting health and safety of fellow competitors, it should be actively encouraged. Indeed, it should be a mandatory requirement.
Now, 10 News first spoke to Australian Rugby League Commission Chairman Peter V'landys a short time ago, who assured us that the Queensland Government remain impressed with the league's biosecurity measures, and they have put in a strong application for those players to return to training as soon as the states follow Scott Morrison's proposal to relax laws as soon as next week.
Ros Kelly reporting there. It's now been 7 weeks since most major sport in this country shut down, and while there appears to be light at the end of the tunnel, let's see how some of our sports stars have spent what is hopefully one of the last weeks of strict self-isolation.
The wait for sport must almost be over because energy levels are on the rise. Athletes have started raising the bar with their home workouts, and the veterans are packing some extra punch.
Mike Tyson? This is my favourite part coming up right now.
There is finally hope for those of us still grinding away at home. NRL clubs have called back the gym equipment. Players have started hitting the paddock as athletes across the globe start returning from their bubbles. So if you're at home this weekend, put the washing on and finish off the last of the chores because the wheels are in motion for sport to be back soon.
I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. One more time. Oh, Lord.
Just a little while longer. Tim Morgan for 10 News First.
I'll tell you what, he can't sing, but he can sure pack a punch, Mike Tyson.
Sure can. Thanks, Katie. Have a good weekend. Mike's back after the break with our 7-day forecast.
This week is Twists Week.
5 big twists over 5 big nights.
And this first one is a beauty.
We want a dish that can withstand the test of delivery.
This is a crazy twist.
Turn your burners off.
Oh my God.
There's a twist with this dish.
No!
This twist is a guest judge. She's been singing our theme tune for 12 years.
Me and my unborn child are ready to eat.
MasterChef Twists Week starts 7:30 Sunday.
Introducing BP Rewards. Now you can earn points for every BP purchase.
BP Rewards.
Use BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards. BP Rewards.
Or you can choose to earn Qantas points.
Now that's what I call BP Rewards.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. BP Rewards. Your rewards, your way.
Ned's Racing Ruckus hits harness with a bonus back on all races at 5 meets. Back a runner in any race at the 5 night meets this Friday, and if it runs second or third, get up to $50 back in bonus bets. Take it to the Ned's level.
Smartly monitor and track physical distancing at work with the new i2 Safe app. With smart monitoring Bluetooth, the app tracks worker distance to ensure a safe work environment. App access available soon. Register your interest today at cloudA2k.com/i2safe.
Quick, let us in!
What's the password?
Moonshine.
It has a number in it.
Moonshine 123.
And at least one capital letter.
When you need to snap out of it, have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
An important message from the Victorian Government about coronavirus. To help us make informed decisions about restrictions, testing has been widened. If you think you have coronavirus because you're showing mild flu-like symptoms, you have a sore throat or a runny nose, or if you have a cough or a cold, get tested. Help slow the spread. Save lives. Victorian Government, managing this together.
Telfast knows that hay fever can strike at any time. It works fast to relieve allergy symptoms like watery eyes, a runny nose and sneezing. Nothing beats Telfast for staying alert and focused when hay fever strikes.
The Sporting Globe is now delivering direct to you with free delivery for a limited time across all of our classics, including buffalo wings, ribs, parmas and burgers when you order through our app. Bring the good times home from the Sporting Globe.
It's LTV for me.
It's LTV for me.
More and more people are saying it's LTV for me because the LTV T60 4x4 diesel is from just $27,490 drive away. And eligible businesses may be able to claim the government instant asset write-off. Hurry, offer ends May 31.
When life gives you dirtiness, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness. With products to keep every surface free from spills, dirt and allergens. For a clean and healthy home, Godfrey's Cleanliness.
Racing Ruckus continues at Ned's. Bonus back on 4 big tracks. Back any horse in races 1 to 4 at 4 tracks this Saturday, and if it runs second or third, get up to $50 back in bonus bets. Take it to the Ned's level.
Up next, the PM lays out the plan to lead us out of lockdown. Is the NRL set to stand down anti-vax players from its season reboot? The bumpy ride for this former CEO who quit his job to explore Australia on camelback. Plus, meet the Aussies battling it out to be the ultimate legend of lockdown. The project next.
Before the weather, some breaking news about the ongoing investigation into the leaking of Dean Laidley's photos following his arrest. Victoria Police Professional Standards Command has just suspended 2 more officers over the circulation of the photos of Laidley while he was being interviewed by police. Another leaked photo was a mugshot of the former North Melbourne coach. The 2 male senior constables are expected to be charged. 4 police officers have now been suspended as part of the investigation. Time now for the weekend weather with Mike, and I've got to say, Mike, Flinders Street looks absolutely spectacular tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Good evening. Well, I mentioned a little while ago that we were still waiting for the colours to change because, as you possibly know, in the lead up to Mother's Day, today is World Ovarian Cancer Day, and all around the world to mark this wonderful and very important occasion, buildings have been lit up blue. Now, we were told that all light up blue from 5, didn't quite happen, but at 6 o'clock, the lights turned on and, well, magnificent Flinders Street Station now brimming with teal. OK, let's have a look at some photos that have been sent to Mike's Pics at network10.com.au. And a couple of beauties here. This is magnificent oranges and yellows combined for a wonderful sunset at Yarra Junction. Thank you to Lynn Dwyer. And, well, this is rather unique. At the entrance to Joe Rando's estate in Clyde, a giant wheelbarrow. Perhaps the entrance to the estate is a dual cabbageway. 13 degrees meant it was a mild start to the day, not quite as warm as yesterday, and then 20 degrees our maximum for a very pleasant day. Sunshine this morning, sun and cloud this afternoon. That wind getting up to about 20, maybe 30 kilometres per hour at times, but not nearly as blowy as yesterday. Friday night in your city, 17 degrees. It is a gorgeous night. The humidity at 55%, the wind a very light northwesterly. Around Melbourne today, temperatures were pretty much on the 19, 20 degree mark mid-afternoon, which is 1 or 2 degrees warmer than this time on average. Across our state, rather pleasant today with temperatures generally 5 to 7 above average, mainly between 16 and 21, 24 today's top in the far east. Around this mighty big country of ours, 19 degrees shared in Perth and Adelaide, but Sydney a whopping 10 degrees warmer, 29 degrees in Sydney. Up in Brisbane, a pleasant 26 degree day. OK, for the weekend around the country, over to Adelaide, they've got a 16 then 17 degree weekend, 5 to 10 millimetres of rain on the agenda tomorrow. Hobart, 13 degrees both days ahead, wet tomorrow. Sydney a rather dry weekend, 27 tomorrow, back to 19 on Sunday. Canberra 17 tomorrow, only 13 on Sunday, and further north to Brisbane, wow, 27 tomorrow, then 29 on Sunday. Across our state, well, here we go again. Another wild and wintry weekend. The change moving to the southwest of our state later tonight, crossing Victoria tomorrow. Widespread rain. We're looking at 20 to 30 mil falls in the Otways and West Gippsland. We've got thunderstorms, some hail, snow as low as 900 metres, and it will be icy with gusty west-southwesterly winds. Ballarat, for example, 7 to 11 before the change. Bendigo 9 to 14 before the change. Shepparton 10 to 16, and you guessed it, before the change. A gale warning for the East Gippsland coast, a strong wind warning for the rest of the coast, the bays and Gippsland lakes, a widespread sheep graziers warning. Around Melbourne tomorrow, stay inside if you can, you may have to. Mount D, hardly any movement there, 8 to 9. Frankston 11 to 17, Geelong 10 to just 15. And on the bays, northerly winds turning westerly at 30 knots, waves 1.5 metres, and the sun setting tomorrow at 25 past 5. So for Melbourne, and as we know, a step behind other city restrictions being lifted. We hear all about it on Monday. Remaining dry tonight, northerlies of 20 k's. A major change tomorrow, a cold front dragging up unfriendly Antarctic air, 12 to just 15 degrees, 10 to 20 millimetres of rain, thunderstorms, possibly hail, plus squally winds. It sounds very pleasant. On a Sunday, and don't forget, you are not supposed to visit your mum. I know a number of people already are going to sneak over to their mother's place. You could be fined. Be warned, you could be fined. 7 to 14 degrees, showers mainly in southeastern suburbs, mainly in the morning. On the Monday, 16 degrees and partly cloudy. Tuesday, 17 degrees as the rain returns, up to 5 mils of rain. Wednesday, around 14. Thursday, about 15. And Friday, also about 15 degrees. Have a wonderful night tonight. And yes, sirree, an almost repeat of last weekend. It's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, it's going to be windy, it's going to be... Ooh. See you on Monday, Stephen.
Not much joy there. Thank you, Mike. And that is 10 News First for this Friday. I'll have updates through the evening, but now from the news team, have a great weekend. Good night.
Tonight, the PM lays out the plan to lead us out of lockdown.
Today, we